Biden's policies are putting our election system at risk. It's putting our safety of our fellow citizens at risk. We're having this breakout of squatters and people that are just doing all sorts of crimes, from petty crimes to serious violent crimes, and it was all unnecessary. And so I think he's raising the alarm. He has been raising the alarm, but the FBI only has so many resources to track down all the potential threats to targets all over this country.
Politically speaking, are you surprised that the Biden White House hasn't done more to try and address this? Because let's be honest, we all hope it doesn't happen, but if there is a terrorist attack between now and Election Day on U.S. soil, that would hand Donald Trump the election.
Well, you're right, but it's so very hard, having been in the chair of the Attorney General doing that job, understanding protecting our citizens both domestically and internationally. It's more than a full-time job. And obviously, they have all sorts of incredible tools at their disposal, but it's still, a lot of it's just policing and just regular sort of beat cops and sheriff's deputies that are out there interacting with the public and making sure that those lines of communication are open with federal law enforcement. But, there's just so much. When you have 8 million or more undocumented people crossing the southern border illegally, it's just almost impossible to keep track of all these folks and to know what they're up to. And the reports have been pretty clear. People just on the terrorist watch list are in the hundreds that have tried to come in this country, and the known gotaways are in the millions. It is a powder keg. It is going to explode. It's not a matter of when, but where.
Does Wray keep his job if Donald Trump's elected?
Oh, I think there's a lot of jobs that are going to be open if Donald Trump takes over. Chris Wray and I served together in the Bush administration and in the Trump administration. But, I think there is certainly a desire from President Trump. I've heard him articulate it, to make many changes at the Department of Justice. And if I was Chris Wray, I wouldn't expect to keep my job for the full term.
Wray yesterday, for the very first time, and this was fascinating, he was specific about what could happen here in the U.S. He said, look, you saw what happened at that concert hall in Russia, 140 people killed a couple weeks ago. That could happen here, and it's already happening. Just this week, a teenager in Idaho was plotting an attack at a church while declaring his allegiance to ISIS. Now, thankfully, they caught the guy. But how concerned are you about an attack, a serious attack, on U.S. soil?
Yeah, well, I'm scared to death, like a lot of American citizens, and knowing how these radical Islamist terrorists view the world, I think we should expect a continued effort. The lone wolf are concerning, but obviously an organized group like you saw in Russia, in Moscow, I think is even more frightening. But that just increases the vigilance, and we need to make sure we harden all of the targets where people gather. And we have to remember that our system of freedoms in the United States comes with a great responsibility, and it's not only just law enforcement, but every citizen, I think, bears a responsibility to have their eyes open and to pay attention to what's going on around them and their environment.
Very good point. Matt, just a question about O.J. Simpson. He died yesterday at 76 of cancer. We all remember that trial in 1995. He was found not guilty. A civil court ultimately did rule that he murdered Ron Goldman and his ex-wife, Nicole Brown. There were cameras in the courtroom throughout that trial. How have cameras changed the courtroom process since that trial 29 years ago? And do you think it's been a good thing to have cameras in the courtroom for a lot of these trials?
Yeah, I do. I think cameras in the courtroom are an important part of our democracy. And I think the more light we have shining on really all forms of government, including our courts, allows citizens to understand. I think there is in a jury trial, sometimes it's, the lawyers maybe do a little more peacocking than necessary, playing for the cameras, but ultimately it's those 12 citizens in the box. I think the rest of us should be able to see it. And I think all of these Donald Trump trials should be televised. I think the American people should see how weak the evidence is, how bizarre the legal theories and how novel they are. And you're going to have one start here on Monday, and that we should be able to watch it.